So I'm going to show you guys how this one character makes me millions of gold every single week, and it's a really simple method and something that you guys can do right now, and you can build on it and improve it, and it'll get even better over time. So there's a little bit of setup to do here, but it's actually very simple and really easy to do, so I'm just going to explain that now. So the first thing we want to do is to make a new character or a fresh character that has not learned any style pages or any motifs. Ideally, he's just going to be like level 1. Now, in the event you don't have a character space and you don't want to delete anything, what you can do is simply use a character that you're confident has not learned any motifs or style pages for the rest of this video, okay? But ultimately, if I had a choice, I would always set up a fresh one. So the next thing that we need to do then is invest a little bit of gold in ourselves and into this new character we've just made, okay? So essentially what we want to be doing here is to learn all of the really inexpensive and the non-sought after motifs. So these are things like your barbarian style, your primal style, Breton, high elf, all of those sort of styles, okay? The really cheap ones are like 1,000 coins or less in the trader. You want to buy all of those and learn them on this new character, okay? Now there are a lot more you need to learn, and I will get into a list of those near the end of the video. So the reason we want to do this is that we want to be building up what is basically a reverse list of motifs. Now, essentially what this is going to do is, as we're filling our library with the really unwanted motifs, all the inexpensive motifs, the things that nobody ever wants to buy, we're essentially leaving all the really good motifs, the very expensive, the very rare, the very easily flippable motifs, and those are going to pop up to us whenever we search for a trader with some green text saying, you know, you can add to your lore library. Whereas the rest of them that we don't want, like the Breton style for example, will show up in grey text saying already learned. And that is a really great and easy differentiator to be using to really quickly search multiple trade cities in a very short amount of time. And it also gives you the opportunity to be making the correct decisions every single time you see one of these rare motifs without having to check your spreadsheet, without having to check a list, without having to go and Google if this is a good motif or not, because you will know, because you have actively chose to leave that motif as something you have not learned, meaning it's something you're interested in flipping. So in practice, there are two ways to use this method, okay? So the first way is going to be searching by just motifs and very quickly scrolling all the way down until you see something that pops up green, having a look at it, seeing what price is listed at, using a price checking app or your general knowledge to figure out what's an actual good price for this item, and then flipping it if it is profitable. And a lot of the time, because you're only seeing the really rare, the really valuable ones, they're going to be worth flipping and they're going to be some good deals on these traders. Now, the other way you can do this is that you can just be searching traders generally. If you are a trading main or you frequently check guild traders anyway, you can just have no filter, just check traders and just know that once one of these motifs pops up green while you're passively searching anyway, that's potentially a really good deal for you and you should look into it. So the more you do this, the more knowledge you're going to have of the motifs. So you're going to be able to decide what motifs you no longer want to see and what motifs you want to keep in your little list to pop up green. You're also going to have a much better knowledge of the price of all the motifs, so you can very easily and very quickly make the decision on what's good to flip. So again, if you're doing this for a month, you're very quickly going to get to know those 20, 30 rare motifs that are selling for a lot of money and flipping well. This is going to put you above everyone, and you can make these really quick decisions. For example, if you're in the main Mournhold trading city and you see an item has just been listed, you know to make the decision to buy that instantly before someone else does. Whereas before, you might have second guessed yourself, price checked, lost the item, lost out on a lot of profit. So if you guys don't do trader runs frequently, what I would recommend is that you start in the main trading cities, which would be the likes of Mournhold, Gratwood, things like that, and work your way down to the more obscure cities, okay? Now, the more obscure cities are actually more likely to have one of these motifs that are very rare listed for a very low price. The reason for that is there's a lot of new players to the game. There's a lot of players that don't know what a price checker is. There's a lot of players who just list things from dungeons or delves, wherever they may be, and it could be a really expensive, really rare motif and they have no idea. They're just so happy to get 10k for it. So the obscure ones are actually really worth checking, but I always go Mournhold first, because that's where the bulk of people sell their items in my experience. Now, I just want to also reiterate that this character is customizable and something that you get to make your own decisions on, okay? So what I'm going to do is give you a huge list of all of the motifs and styles that I would personally learn to set this up correctly for my personal tastes. But because this is at your own discretion and you have your own personal choices here, what you can do is you can set the bar a little bit lower than where I've set it. I generally don't want to see items under 50k in this list I've made, okay? But if you guys want to see things that are 15k, 20k, and you want to see if you can get a deal on those for, you know, a few thousand coins and flip and make your 15k profit or your 20k profit, that's absolutely fine and something you can do. It's just not what I've set up, but keep in mind, you can do that, okay? So here is the list of all the styles that I would learn, as they're not worth a whole lot of money, or they're ones that I just think aren't particularly good to flip, okay? So I'm not going to read all of these out. I'm going to leave them on screen, okay? Because if I try to read these all out, it's going to take me over a week, and I don't want to waste your time, okay? It's much easier for you to have either a screenshot or just come back and pause this part of the video, all right? So some things to keep in mind is that any of the full sets that I don't mention here will generally have at least one valuable motif in the set, and I therefore am recommending you to flip those, okay? So if, for example, I'm not recommending you to buy the Minotaur set, I want you to flip the Minotaur chests and the Minotaur helms, things like that, okay? Also keep in mind, if you're trying to purchase one of the items I do have on the list, say for example Assassin League, and you notice on your server, like maybe the Assassin League hands or whatever are worth a substantial amount of money and you can't find it anywhere, feel free not to learn it and to simply add that to your list of things you want to flip, okay? Also, just lastly, if in the list that I mentioned to learn a full set except for one piece, please do not actually learn that piece, because you can't unlearn the motifs once they are learned, and that will generally be the only valuable piece of it, and you will be missing out on potential flips, okay? So just while leaving that list on screen, okay, I'm going to also say that you can 100% apply this to monster helmets, monster masks, things like that, style pages even. Essentially, if you're buying all the cheap ones, all the irrelevant ones, all the ugly ones, all the ones you don't want to flip and no one wants, it basically means that every time you're searching through a trader and something pops up green, you're just clicking to know, I should look into this, I should maybe buy this, this is potentially a great deal to make me a lot of money. Now again, if you guys don't have a whole lot of coins, I would just recommend sticking to motifs and just start with the cheapest you possibly can get at the start and move all the way up to the more expensive as time goes on. Again, there's no rush to do this all at once, okay? We can absolutely invest like 100k now, get the very cheapest, and that will get you pretty far into this method. So although this method does take a little bit of setup and a little bit of initial investment, it is 100% one of the easiest ways that I make money in this game. You just constantly are seeing the good deals, and you really don't have to pay much attention whenever you're trying to actually go and check traders. You can just kind of casually browse them while doing something else, and it just really helps you make money without having to second guess everything, check if everything's rare. Another thing is that this is a really simple method that pretty much anyone can do at any stage, okay? It's very relaxed, there's no skill requirements, you don't have to kill anything, you don't have to level up your skill lines, you don't have to invest much time. All you really need to do is get a little bit of gold together and then start buying some motifs, and that's pretty much it. You're on to flipping. And the little bonus is that obviously every single motif that you learn on this character to do this method, you're going to be able to keep and use as a style page on every single one of your characters. So that's a little bonus that you can make your other characters look pretty cool while you're also using this to invest in a money making method. So if you guys don't want to wait to set this up and you want to earn one big chunk of cash pretty quickly, check out this video where I show you how to make 400,000 coins in less than 10 minutes.